What's up, superhero fans? Welcome to SUPES Disputes, the show where I sit down with producer, talent manager, industry insider, and mega fan Brad Lambert, and we come together to debate the most divisive superhero topics and talk about the most trending superhero news. Today, we're not joined alone. Today, we have the wonderful Midwest Avenger, a well-known TikToker who is best known for his cosplay videos. David, welcome to SUPES Disputes. We have a huge show ahead of us, many debates to address, maybe many topics to break down. But David, just for the people who don't know about you and aren't familiar with your content, who are you, what do you do, and where can people find your content?
Well, quite frankly, as I always jokingly / seriously put it, is I'm just a dude, pretending to be a dude, dressed like another dude. So long story short, I'm a cosplayer. And, I'm cosplayer / actor on various social medias. Started on YouTube under the handle of Silver Screen Studios, where you can go find some awesomely cringy content. But otherwise, eventually kind of got sucked in the TikTok wormhole like a lot of other people. Came to know some great people on there, really started working on both my cosplay and acting craft, and really branched out from there to Instagram, Twitch, and various social media platforms. And it's been over the course of the last year or so. So it's definitely been a wild year.
Yeah, definitely. And, with us all coming together over here on TikTok, I'm so happy to have been able to meet you. And now here we are. It's time to debate. But David, every superhero, every villain has their origin story. What's your origin story? How did you get to be the man you are today, the TikToker with over 400,000 freaking followers assembled behind his back?
First of all, that number is insane. I think, like many people, I started TikTok as a joke, like, I'll try it out, see what it is, And so the idea to think that we're about to hit 500K is mind-blowing to me. For me, it's kind of humble beginnings kind of thing. I started as just a kid, literally dressing up like Sheriff Woody, I think, when I was like 3 or 4. And then when I got to be like 6 or 7, when the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies came out, Spider-Man became my homeboy, and literally he was like the first cosplay that I ever made out of like I literally took like red and blue sweatshirts and sweatpants and like cut them, glued them together, took a Sharpie, drew the webs on them, and was like, I'm Spider-Man. As my mother complains about all the hot glue and Sharpie stains that she had to clean up and etc. But no, yeah, and then kind of got to high school, found out about an art form called Pepakura and EVA foam cosplay crafting, and started dabbling in Iron Man suits and started making those, and that's where I really got into cosplay as it's known today. Eventually went to my first convention when I graduated high school, and that's when it really just kind of snowballed. I was like, nope, this is my life. This is what I want out of life. I want to go to conventions. I want to be involved in these pop culture conversations, And, I kind of, as my mother always told me, listen to what your heart is passionate for and chase that, and you will find the success that you're looking for. And so that's kind of what I did.
Good advice. 100%. Brad, do you have any thoughts on, just David's inspirational story?
Hey, man, I'm a big believer in chasing your passions and then finding ways to monetize that to make it a big part of your life. So major props to you for making that a career.
Thank you.
So now he's here. You guys know who David is. Now it's time to talk superheroes. Now it's time to debate. Now it's time to break down the most trending superhero topics. But right before we get into breaking down these topics, make sure to duet these videos over there on TikTok and we will respond. Remember, the purpose of the show isn't just for us three to have a conversation. The purpose of the show is for all of us to have a conversation. It's a conversation for the fans, by the fans. So with that being said, make sure to duet and engage with the SUPES Disputes content on all forms of social media. Now, with that being said, it's time to get down into the main topic, or one of the main topics of the day, which is She-Hulk. This week, Tatiana Maslany, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Tatiana Maslany was cast as She-Hulk, and She-Hulk is filming this February, and now we know who's playing She-Hulk, which is the biggest piece of Marvel news we've gotten in a minute. But guys, Brad, what are your thoughts on Tatiana Maslany playing She-Hulk in the MCU?
Marvel doesn't miss a beat, man. The casting's perfect. She's so incredibly talented. And yeah, I really can't wait to see not only how she's introduced, which I think we're going to talk about here in a little bit, but also her standalone show on Disney Plus.
For sure. David, what are your thoughts on Tatiana Maslany playing She-Hulk in the MCU?
Honestly, my first impression is I looked at her and I went, yeah, she looks like a relative of Mark Ruffalo. I could see it. Like, I straight up was like, nah, yeah, it's kind of got that family resemblance look. No, but honestly, in all sincerity, I didn't really know much about her when she was cast. But honestly, I kind of like that because Marvel has a way of bringing people that you may not necessarily know about or first think about and really bringing them in and hitting a home run out of them. You know, like, I mean, just to speak about, like, you know, the late Chadwick Boseman, you know, God rest his soul, not a lot of people knew about him before he was cast as Black Panther. He wasn't a Robert Downey Jr., he wasn't a Chris Evans, but, I mean, look at what they did with him. So, I mean, I'm very excited to see what they do with Tatiana.
1,000%. I mean, I'm very unfamiliar with her work, but there is one movie that I saw where she was in it, and I was just blown away by her performance. And it was a movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Mysterio himself, called Stronger. The premise of the movie is that her boyfriend attends the Boston Marathon, and then, you know, the bombings happen, and he loses his legs, and then she has to fight alongside with him to kind of just build his life back to normal. And the emotional weight of that movie is – it's insane, and she acted so amazing with that movie alongside Jake Gyllenhaal, who we all know is so freaking talented. But again, this is an actress that not many people are familiar with, but is going to blow up. We know that Marvel doesn't miss. Before Tom Holland was Spider-Man, let me know who knew about Tom Holland and what this kid was capable of. No one did. And now Tom Holland just came out with his movie last week, Devil All the Time, starring Robert Pattinson. And this kid is slowly becoming one of the biggest actors in the world. And we're going to see him go again. Marvel took him from being a young 15-year-old kid in high school. And now we're going to see this kid grow over the course of his massive career that Marvel kind of built for him. So again, Tatiana Maslany, I'm unfamiliar with her work. I've seen her in one thing, and damn, she was pretty freaking amazing in that one thing. So I'm just excited to see that this She-Hulk project is being developed. You know, we're in the middle.
You know, that almost makes me think. So, you know, that's obviously that's very much almost a serious, dramatic piece on that subject. It almost makes me wonder if that's maybe going to kind of play into the theme of She-Hulk, if it might be more, for lack of a better reference, if it's going to be more like the tone of the Netflix shows where it's not so grand and colorful like the movies per se, but it's more of that grounded kind of dramatic, serious tonals.
Could definitely be. And, you know, I hope that with these Disney Plus series, they kind of carry a different tone and each of them bring their own uniqueness to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like for a Moon Knight series, there's no way you can do a Moon Knight series and be, you know, the happy, funny MCU that we're accustomed to, because Moon Knight is such a dark character. But with a character like She-Hulk, there's so many different ways you can bring her into the MCU. And because Mark Ruffalo, Hulk, because that character is her cousin, Hulk is Jennifer Walters' cousin, it's likely that they're going to carry still that funny tone with She-Hulk, because Hulk is such a funny character. It's likely that they're going to look to carry that same tone with She-Hulk. But now, David, go.
No, I was just thinking about it because, you know, Jennifer Walters, she's a lawyer in the comics, and, you know, it came to my mind since I mentioned the Netflix shows, but it almost makes me hope, you know, can we maybe get a Matt Murdock cameo? That would be
definitely. Cool. I mean, now that you brought up Matt Murdock, it's time to talk about Spider-Man 3, because I think there's something going on behind the scenes that no one's talking about that could definitely, where we could definitely end up seeing She-Hulk introduced into the Marvel Cinematic Universe in Spider-Man 3. Everyone's talking about how Peter Parker needs a lawyer for Spider-Man 3. Would we all love to see Matt Murdock? Of course. But from what we're hearing from Charlie Cox himself saying that he has nothing to do with Spider-Man 3, I know another lawyer. Her name is Jennifer Walters. And with She-Hulk coming to the MCU, I think there's a high chance that we could see her play a role in Spider-Man 3 and actually see a part of her origin story that sets up the She-Hulk series. Yeah. You know, another big red flag that I'm seeing here is that She-Hulk is filming in February. Spider-Man 3 is filming in February. With all of these Marvel productions going on at the same time, don't you think she could literally cross over to sets, film whatever she has to film for Spider-Man 3, and go back to filming her own Disney Plus She-Hulk series? In a very similar way that Captain Marvel, Brie Larson, she filmed her stuff for Endgame, and then she went over to film the Captain Marvel movie. So they could do the same thing with She-Hulk. But what do you guys think about She-Hulk potentially being involved in Spider-Man 3?
I mean, I'm going to be honest. It's where my heart is, obviously. I'm still out here holding the candle for Charlie Cox, Matt Murdock. But I think that'd be a really good way to introduce her, even if it's, say, kind of since you mentioned Captain Marvel, kind of refer to that, almost a Captain Marvel, esque entry where it's like maybe she's only there for 20 minutes of the film. In my perfect mind, I look at it and I go, introduce Jennifer Walters as a lawyer, and then with the mounting pressure, the case being, such a worldwide, pariah, Spider-Man on trial, all these enemies start coming out of the woodworks, like, say, bring back the Scorpion thread they dropped in the end of Homecoming. She gets shot, so you set up her show, and her show enters with her, like, being rushed into the hospital, kind of thing. And then, again, where my heart is, well, his first lawyer's got shot, so now he's going to need another one. So, maybe bring in Matt Murdock. Because I think they could do a super awesome dynamic with that, with Spider-Man 3. Have it, Matt Murdock be his lawyer during the day, but then Daredevil trying to take Spider-Man down at night.
Yes, that's such a classic duo from the comics, from the animated series. So, Brad, what do you think about She-Hulk potentially being involved in Spider-Man 3?
It is in line with what they've done in the past. That's what I'll say. It's a perfect synergy, a need in the storyline, like we've talked about. He's going to need an attorney. She's an attorney. I also feel the need to say I would love to see Matt Murdock, especially Charlie Cox.
Yes.
I think that would be fantastic. I would not be surprised if, she comes in for the bidding war, per se, to get the case of Peter Parker, and Matt Murdock shows up also to take the case as like a slight cameo, but not super involved in the storyline. That would be a nice nod to the fans, which Marvel is so brilliant at. But yeah, I think it makes a ton of sense. I think she's involved in Spider-Man 3. I think to the extent of, like you said, to set up her show, like they set up the Loki show in Endgame, like they set up potentially WandaVision in Endgame. Like, Marvel is genius in how everything's interwoven and connected. So I would be absolutely shocked if there is no connection here. But also, it is a Sony property, so it's not an outright Marvel production, which could complicate things. But with the new Disney deal with Sony, we don't know all the details yet.
Yeah.
So it's very possible that with that comes the agreement to have these other characters.
And, I almost wonder with kind of where the entertainment industry is currently today with COVID and everything like that, I almost wonder if Sony would really get too picky about that, if they would risk halting more production or stuff like that, if they wanted to get Jennifer Walters in there, with where we're at in the current climate.
Man, this has been done prior to COVID. This is not something they just drew up last month. This is probably 6, 8, 12 months ago that these conversations, when the latest agreement to get Tom back in the MCU for one more standalone film, and then a few other cameos, Marvel definitely brought to the table, well, if we're going to do this, we're going to need to implement a few other Marvel characters within the Spider-Man storyline. So, but by all means, I mean, this is something that's been in discussions for a very long time if it happened. But this is not something that they just decided to do. These castings have been done for a while. The process takes forever. So, if it's meant to be, this is already in the can. This is already in the agreement. So I'm excited to see how it plays out. I think we're in for a big treat.
100%. And Brad, I fully agree with you. I think this is all a part of Marvel's big plan. We know that coming off of Endgame, we're not going to see the Avengers assembled for a while. We're not going to get Avengers 5 anytime soon. But Marvel's substitute for that is to have characters team up with other characters in different individual properties. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, we're seeing him team up with Scarlet Witch. Miss Marvel will probably be in Captain Marvel too. There's so many different team-ups that they're doing with their upcoming individual solo projects. So to see She-Hulk enter the frame in Spider-Man 3, leading into her Disney Plus series, that's not far-fetched. I feel like that's already a done deal. And again, just because the schedule lines up together with productions, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. So guys, let us know in the comments. Let us know by duetting this content if you think She-Hulk's going to be in Spider-Man 3, and how do you think she's going to enter the frame? And do you think Daredevil is going to be in Spider-Man 3? Because again, I think Daredevil is such a big character, and so is the character of Kingpin. I just think Kingpin is so
D'Onofrio,
huge.
bro. Oh my gosh.
Dude, imagine they come in Spider-Man 3 and drop what Kingpin has been up to the last 5 years during the blip.
And
having that empire.
And the thing is that because Marvel does things differently than everyone else, I feel like when it comes to Spider-Man stories, the big bad is Oscorp. The big bad is Norman Osborn pulling the strings behind everything. But what if the big bad in all of this would it be Kingpin? And that ties into the world of Daredevil and Spider-Man. Because Kingpin is very much a Spider-Man villain than he is a Daredevil villain.
Well, so D'Onofrio's even said he wants to cross over with Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Please give us this.
Oh, right.
He's one of the best live-action villains we've ever seen. And with the way Daredevil Season 3 ended, with the way Daredevil Season 3 ended, it would be a dream of ours to see D'Onofrio and Matt Murdock's Daredevil come back to the MCU, man.
Let me just say this, too. Charlie Cox, if a deal is done, which it either is or it isn't, there is no waiting period.
Yeah.
He's not going to be able to say that, I'm involved in Spider. He's not going to say that. Even if a deal is done, he's not allowed to say that.
Oh, yeah.
He's just not.
Sure.
It is going to be a surprise if it happens.
It'll be a Marvel
but
sniper
it won't
on
be
him so quick.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, like, I don't read too much into what talent says leading up to films because at the end of the day, they're not allowed to say contractually unless it is a publicity stunt leading up to the film, which is very possible. I don't think anybody expected to see Ben Affleck in The Flash or Michael Keaton in The Flash. So, like, things happen. Things are planned for months, even years. So, I think we're in for a treat. I don't know what's going to happen, but this is definitely something. Yeah, we talked about this recently, man. I said Marvel's sitting on a bunch of stuff. They may not have made announcements as much as DC has over the last few months, but just wait. And then shortly after came the announcement of Kang and She-Hulk and this and that. So like we're just at the tip of the iceberg right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have to imagine during this big, like kind of 8-month waiting period, we've been in. Marvel's so smart. They've probably been sitting there just like, well, let's take the time to kind of catch up, get our plans in order, really get all our I's dotted and T's crossed,
Yeah, and now that you say that, Brad, like it's really put things in perspective of how much Marvel content we're getting in such a short amount of time. Like in the span of this month, we got Kang, She-Hulk. Obviously we got the Wandavision trailer that we're going to break down later in today's show.
We got the filmmakers who are involved in Miss Marvel.
Exactly. And I was just about to touch on that.
This is how it works.
I was just about to touch on that because not long ago did we get the casting for the directors of the She-Hulk Disney Plus series. And then 2 weeks later, we get the casting for She-Hulk. Now that we have the directors for the Miss Marvel Disney Plus series, I wouldn't be surprised if we're sitting here next week or the week after that talking about the Miss Marvel casting. Now that we know who's at the helm of this Miss Marvel Disney Plus project.
It almost feels like Marvel's kind of taken this month and really just kind of put out some announcements kind of to rally the masses and go, hey, nothing's put off. There's still things coming. There's still things in motion. Don't you worry.
For sure. And now we talked about She-Hulk. Now it's time to talk about a piece of news that literally dropped an hour ago. An hour ago, it was announced that Supergirl on the CW is coming to an end. Season
physically hurts me
is going to be the final season. So, David, what was your initial reaction to this news, and what do you think this means for the future of the CW?
Well, first of all, like physically pains me to hear you say that sentence. Because I don't think I'm the only one that show, along with so many others on the CW and the Arrowverse, as a whole are, I mean, they're tied into people's childhoods, you know, memories with family, friends, etc., you know, cosplayers, you know, stuff like that. My first reaction, honestly, when I heard it, I hate to say it, but I wasn't surprised. Because, to be honest, over the last 6 months, there's been a lot of kind of undercurrent with the CW. Because, let's be honest, Oliver Queen left in December. They wrote him off. They ended Arrow, which, you know, if it was, you know, if you like the ending, if you didn't, it is what it was. But, you know, we were dealt with the back half of the rest of the seasons to deal with. And I, like many other people, we love these shows, but it also, we were watching them and we're going, something's missing. This just doesn't feel right anymore, you know? And it's weird because you sit there and go, well, Arrow wasn't directly involved with them all week to week, but it's like, no, but knowing a piece of the puzzle's missing, it's just kind of not right. And so, you know, with Supergirl announcing ending, a big thing that a lot of people in the Arrowverse, you know, fandom and stuff weren't surprised by, especially me, was after the Superman and Lois announcement, that Superman was getting his own series, there was a lot of fans, especially myself, sitting there going, okay, you're going to have a Superman and Supergirl show. How does that not just butt heads? Because, I mean, eventually you're going to use up villains. You're going to cross over in stories, you know. I mean, Supergirl's already used a lot of Superman villains. So it's like, it's great for setting up Superman's lore, as he's, you know, they're setting him in a, you know, kind of down the road a little bit. He's not a brand new Superman. But so, yeah, I wasn't surprised, especially with the Superman announcement and the fact that Melissa just had her first child, I think just like a month ago, maybe. You know, for me, I was like, you know, it's not terribly surprising, you know, from a mother standpoint and, you know, from kind of show genre standpoint as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this definitely wasn't a surprising announcement, but Brad, I wanted to ask you, what was your first initial reaction when you heard this news that Supergirl was getting canceled on the CW?
I wasn't surprised. Same kind of line of thought where it's like they announced the Superman show. To me, that's a clear cut. She's going to be involved at some capacity, whether it be recurring or every once and again she pops in there. Like, you know, once again, these things are planned. It's not abrupt, like pulling the plug today. So this is I'm sure Melissa knew months and months and months ago and was allowed to live her life accordingly. Like you said, she just had a baby. Congratulations to her. But, you know, this is Arrow had to end, you know, like TV shows have different life cycles than films, obviously. We saw Iron Man have 3 films, you know, Thor's extending to a 4th, you know, like the film and TV spaces are different. So I'm not surprised. 6 seasons of Supergirl? That's pretty awesome and a very successful run.
They got canceled on the CW at season 1. So, I mean, for a revived TV show, no less, to make it 6 seasons, that's a hell of an accomplishment.
And look, I'm with Oliver and Arrow ending, like, I'm not surprised. Plus, you're probably going to see Flash and Legends and everything else start to dwindle down. Like, it can't last forever. It's just impossible. And I will say this, too. I wouldn't be surprised if this is kind of alluding that potentially we're getting Supergirl in the DCEU.
I thought about that.
That's coming.
I really did.
We know that's coming.
I was chatting with a friend of mine after the announcement. And, you know, they had announced it a while ago, and I'm just like, my only opinion on that is I hope they handle it better than they did Ezra's casting initially, because, like, they launched the Flash show, and then it was the second episode when it, like, the day the second episode was going to air, they announced Ezra. And, I mean, if you guys remember, Stephen Amell went on a very public rant about it, about just how that was very tastelessly handled. And so, like,
he was pissed because he wanted to be Oliver Queen in the DCEU as well. So it created a riff in that space, having both film and TV simultaneous. So now I feel like they're being proactive with that, where Flash, I don't know how long that show is going to last, but that's definitely dwindling down. And by the time that dwindles out and finishes, I think we'll get the Flash film, or it'll be simultaneous to where it'll be a quick transition. because like you said with Supergirl, they've used up all the villains. You can only tell the same story so many times. I feel like Flash is getting there too. It's very repetitive, still a fantastic show, but you don't want to get it to the point where fans are like, my God, just fucking end already, please. So, you know,
it gets to the point, and
surprised.
I mean, we went through, I mean, at least in the Arrowverse fandom, we really hit a hard spot of it. I believe it was around season 3 of Arrow when DC initially made that big split decision. They said, all right, movies and TV, that's it. And they started taking characters away from the Arrowverse, and the Arrowverse was starting to go, okay, dude, we can't tell stories because you're taking so many characters away from us, which 100%. Was nice to see with, like, Crisis. They kind of backpedaled that and went, okay, well, you had some success, so let's see what you can do with them. And I think including Ezra in Crisis was their way to kind of go back and go, oh, no, it's in the multiverse. It's all there.
It's the multiverse, Yeah.
Which I'm wondering if that's maybe what they're doing with Ezra and all the Batman, is maybe doing like, oh, that's what the movie side of Crisis, you know, that's what the Flash movie is going to be. But, yeah, I just hope they at least let Supergirl finish their last season before they announce the DCEU casting or stuff. You know, let them have those.
No, I think they learned their lesson from the first Ezra issue. And, you know, there's not – what they've done with DC TV – well done. Round of applause. It's incredible work what they've done. All the talent, filmmakers, everybody who's involved.
Hey, DC
Berlanti, what they've done. Yeah, it was incredible and unprecedented in that regard. So well done. I always said, like, why can't they do what they do on TV with the films? Like the connectivity, the brilliant, seamless transition. So, like, what they did there, amazing, great work. And it shouldn't be, you know, said otherwise. So, for me, you know, I think, you know, she's had a great run. The show's been fantastic, and, you know, it was inevitable to a certain extent. And I think she will play a role in the Superman show moving forward.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I think people are blowing up over this a little bit too much.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be a Steven thing where she's, like, gone. Yeah. I think it's going to be more that case of she kind of does for Superman what Superman did for her, is basically is there, you know, a couple times a season, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of that extent.
For sure. And again, like you guys said, this is something that was very predictable. The cards all lined up perfectly for this move to happen. When you say that you're doing a Superman and Lois show, first of all, that's going to completely kill your Supergirl show, because Superman is the guy. Superman is a 10 times bigger IP than Supergirl is. So again, I also think it goes hand in hand with the movies, because even though they're doing a Superman and Lois show, now that Supergirl isn't on the CW anymore, now this is an opportunity for her to come and enter the frame of things in the movies. We know that a Supergirl movie was in development. We know Zack Snyder, with all of the talk, when on the live stream where he announced that the Snyder Cut was coming, he said that he had plans for Supergirl to enter the DC universe. So again, I think all of the cards are set up perfectly for DC to kind of execute this seamless transition from bringing Supergirl over from the CW universe over to their movies. And even though it's going to be a different casting, like you guys said,
imagine
they
that
probably learned their lesson.
Imagine that be like the end credit scene of the Flash movie. That's the first big change you see at the end of that whole, like, reality journey, as you see a Supergirl land in front of Barry or something. And he's just like, oh, what the what? Because, I mean, that'd be cool to show, you know, a change, but then it would also kind of homage to the CW moment of Flash and Supergirl meeting, you know. And, I mean, I guess maybe I could sit there and hope that, you know, in a perfect world, maybe DC just blindsides everybody and be like, oh, no, we had to cancel the show, so Melissa had time to come do the movie. You know.
Yeah. I don't see it, pal.
Nah, bro.
And here's the other thing, too.
Wishful thinking, bro.
Look, if you're thinking about Black Adam, think about Black Adam versus Superman and Supergirl. That would be pretty epic.
Yeah.
That would be pretty epic. And, you know, I think one of the kind of like the criticisms of that or like the negative aspects that I have of this entire move is the fact that they just killed off Oliver Queen, which was their Iron Man of the CW universe. And the whole purpose of his death was so like that Kara can continue to flourish. Barry can continue to flourish. But they kind of like backtracked on that and kind of contradicted that whole storyline. And I think it just puts like a negative, just like smoke over Oliver Queen's death, because if his death was so like that Supergirl and Barry, for them to flourish. Now Supergirl's exiting, so now it's just Barry. And Barry, like you said, Brad, that show is dwindling as well. Seasons 1 through 3 were fantastic, but we've seen it time and time again with CW shows that they start off freaking god tier because they have a plan. But as the shows continue, it just starts to dwindle and dwindle, and it's not the same anymore.
Look, let's be real. Halfway through season 3 of Arrow, everyone was like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, wait, what just happened?
Yeah. Like, that show was, like you said, god tier. 1, 2, halfway through 3, and then we were all looking around like,
as soon
what
as he
show
showed
is
up in that Black League of Assassins outfit, everybody was like, all right, what the actual hell are we doing
yeah,
here?
I'm out.
Like,
I'm out.
like,
Like, yeah.
you just got rid of the
100%.
Green
I'm
Arrow
Ra's al Ghul.
identity?
Like, come on, man. Like, no.
well,
yeah.
and then there was season
And look,
4
I'd
when
rather
they were
have
like,
quality
let's make
over
this like
quantity.
Legends.
Yeah.
I'd rather have quality over quantity, and that's
Yeah.
the thing. And when you get into these ensembles of like everybody is a meta, everybody's a superhero, it just takes away from what the show really is. And we're not talking about like in Avengers everybody uniting to fight. We're talking about literally just having these second, third, fourth tier characters who just throw on a suit and are now superheroes. And I'm just like, you know, in some instances it's great. But other instances, you're like, all right, like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
And you know what's funny is I think that's where Arrow kind of stood out a little bit, is it still had regular people on it,
Yeah.
you know, versus like Flash and Supergirl where everybody turned out to be an alien or a metahuman or, you know,
Yeah.
this or that. And it just, there was no kind of just real person grounding in it. You know, there was no real level to it. But Soups, what you said about Oliver's death, I appreciate you so much for saying that, because that was the only thing that like made me mad about the announcement. I was like, when you have your like
Tony Stark
masthead character literally in his dying words go, I gave it up for you and Kara so you can keep going, and then turn around and do this, it's kind of feels like a middle finger. Kind of feels like a middle finger.
Don't jump to conclusions yet. That's all I'll say. Don't do it, because her purpose might be to save the universe, and that's why she's exiting. Like, we don't know what the end result's going to be yet. Yes, broad level, it looks bad. But, once again, this stuff is planned out, and it's not going to, like, negate this epic moment with Oliver Queen where he passes it on to Kara and Barry. So, like, I'll just say, just be patient. Let's see how it plays out, and then we can roast them later if they fuck up.
So right now they got their writers in a room. The writers are sweating, trying to construct an awesome ending. For
They don't
Kara.
want to be on Soups Disputes.
Oh, they don't want to be over here, bro. They don't want to be over here. Because guess what? All three of us right here, we can write the best ending for Supergirl and make it all make sense.
Dude, a friend of mine actually, he goes, dude, imagine they end it like the Justice League cartoon where she goes back to the future with Mon-El. And I'm like, I'm not going to lie, that'd be a pretty dope ending.
Could happen. It could happen. Again, I think DC is just setting up to have her enter in the movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a massive character, and we know that Henry Cavill's Superman literally just signed a new deal where he's going to come back for 5 to 6 DC movies with 3 of those films.
Yeah, that way.
With 3 of those films being Superman films. Thank God. Thank you, God.
And look, that's what they're going to do. Look, they will slowly shut down to an extent the DC shows, so the main focus are the films. Period. So, but that doesn't mean we won't see Grant Gustin's Flash down the line.
It could happen.
You know, like they leave that open. You know. So and that goes for Melissa Benoist's Supergirl. You know, you just don't know.
That's the weird feeling I've got, especially like between them having just done Crisis in December and I mean opening the door to pretty much every DC property there's ever been, and then they're doing this big like reality hopping story with Flash. I'm like, all right, there's some fishiness in all this that I'm like, they're planning something. And I'm like, I don't know if it's, you know, kind of resetting stuff or doing kind of an amalgam. I don't know. But I'm like, there's definitely something coming from DC, you know, with this Flash movie and what they're planning now. And I am excited to see it.
And the beautiful thing about it all is that, you know, from the rumors that we've been hearing, DC and Marvel are going at it with these two films, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and Flashpoint. DC is looking to assemble, I mean, from what we're hearing, they're looking to assemble every single version of a DC character we've ever seen in the freaking movies. And then from the Marvel side of things.
Ralph, come on.
Yeah, we're literally hearing that. Like, those are rumors that could definitely come to light in Flashpoint. And then on the Marvel side of things, we're hearing rumors that Marvel could potentially show different versions of Marvel characters played by different actors. Brad, I see you nodding your head. One of the versions of that rumor is that we could see Tom Cruise come back to play a version of Iron Man, because Tom Cruise was the original, person that they were looking to get for Iron Man. So, Brad, what are your thoughts on those rumors?
I mean, look, yes, that would be really cool to see different realities, different multiverse, editions, if you will, of these characters. But man, if you're gonna kill off Tony Stark, and then a few films later you're gonna have Iron Man return to the big screen, and it's not Downey in the fucking suit, I don't want to see it. I'm sorry, like that's just torture.
I mean, again, Brad, it would be a moment I would just love to see on your face, to see a portal open, and instead of Robert Downey Jr., it's Tom Cruise. Oh my gosh!
Not gonna sit well.
Oh my gosh! Well.
But let's be real. It would be cool.
It would be cool. And again, Tom Cruise. Like, news literally dropped today that the man's going to space to film a freaking movie with Elon Musk. Like,
that's such a Tom Cruise thing to do.
Exactly.
It is. Like, I'm not even surprised. I'm just like, really?
Like, just when we thought he could...
His recent stunt, they should have, like, a BTS video of him driving off that cliff on the bike. I was just like, Tom Cruise. That's Tom Cruise.
So, guys...
Dude, is he literally just, like, looking at death going, no balls, you won't?
Literally. Like, he literally just jumps off a cliff.
He's looking at the Grim Reaper like, come get me, you won't.
I mean...
He's like, I'm Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise
I'm 60 years old and I do what I want.
Tom Cruise is built different,
yeah,
bro.
Pretty much.
Yeah, he's iconic. Facts.
So, guys, now it's time to talk about the main
old,
topic of today's show. Now it's time to talk about WandaVision. First off, before we get into breaking down this WandaVision trailer, I just want to say it is so amazing to be reacting to new Marvel content. The last 100%. Time we got any piece of new Marvel content was, back in March for the final trailer of Black Widow? And now here we are.
Yeah.
September. Getting our first little glimpse of what Marvel is coming in 2020. Because guess what? We don't know if Black Widow is coming out in 2020, but we know WandaVision is coming out in 2020. And we got a first look at the show this week as they unveiled their first official trailer for the show, giving us our first taste of what this entire series is going to be like. And it's safe to say that this is going to be the wackiest Marvel project they've ever produced so far, because this trailer raised more questions than answers. So, Brad, what were your first thoughts from the first trailer for WandaVision?
I think Paul Bettany said it was bonkers, and I think he's right. I mean, the show looks like an absolute blast. And knowing what we know about Scarlet Witch and her abilities, I mean, the possibilities are really endless in the show. It's going to be something different that we haven't seen, obviously very much a sitcom in a way. But also, you saw in the trailer that we are going to have those incredible action sequences. The shot of Vision flying up into the sky, very reminiscent of the Age of Ultron shot. I mean, it's going to be a spectacle, and it's going, in my opinion, I think it's going to change the scope of the MCU moving forward for sure.
Agreed. David, how about you? What was your first reaction to that crazy official trailer for WandaVision?
I definitely don't want to take an acid trip to the show watching it. But no, honestly, I loved it because it felt like a breath of fresh air. It didn't feel like, okay, standard Marvel, period. No, it felt like, okay, I don't know her name, but she's the lady in the trailer who's asking why they're not married and why they don't have kids. She always plays that kind of housewife, and that was one of the highlights of that. But no, honestly, I love seeing like the different like timelines, so to say, or the different time periods, and how it's almost each reality is kind of a different period piece, which I think they're going to have fun with. I really enjoy the sneaky shot of the quick like snap clip of them holding babies, kind of setting up the twins. So, and you know what that entails in the comics really makes me excited, especially considering they have mutants at their access now.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do. And, you know, that was a little quick sneaky shot that they snuck in this trailer. But that was our first look at Wiccan and Speed. And another thing that trailer did tell us, even though it was a short trailer, it was 1 minute and 21 seconds, it gave us so much. It gave us so much. And again, like you said, David, with that little sneaky shot, we got our first look at Wiccan and Speed. But from this same trailer, we know that time in this alternate reality works differently. We know that time works a lot faster. I mean, from 1 second, they're in like the 1950s, and then they're going into the color time period. So whatever this is, time works different in this reality. And my theory is that the witch that we saw in the part of the trailer where Vision is asking this random lady, like he kind of like puts his hand to her face, and then she wakes up and she's like, "Am I dead?" And then Vision asks, "Why would you say that?" And then she's like, "'Cause you are." That is the main villain of the show. And we saw her multiple times in this trailer, but no one's freaking talking about her because she has to do with everything that's going on here. I think she's going to come to Wanda after the events of Endgame and kind of bribe Wanda and say that I could give you everything that you want, or I could teach you how you can get everything that you want. And she teaches Wanda how to create this alternate reality where we see Vision come back. Now, one of my questions that I wanted to ask you guys is that this was something that I found to be a plot hole with this whole series, is that in this alternate reality, if Wanda can do whatever she wants, if she can bring back to life anyone she wants, like Vision, why wouldn't she bring back Quicksilver?
You know, I have been thinking about that since, you know, a lot of the first details of this show came out, and I'm like, I'm not betting against it, at least in my mind, just the way Marvel pulls surprises like that. And, I mean, what better way for them to really drop a bomb? And he has the perfect entry line anyway. Just lean in and whisper, "Bet you didn't see this coming." And, like, just drop that as, like, the cliffhanger of an episode. You know? And
yeah.
I think they're going to try to get him in if they can. You know, if they can make it work plausibly and with the actor, I think they definitely will or have tried.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a possibility. I don't think it'll happen, but it's definitely a possibility. Another possibility that I don't think will happen, but could happen, is us seeing Ultron. Let's put things into perspective. When we saw Scarlet Witch enter the MCU, she entered the MCU by getting her powers from the Mind Stone, which lives inside of Ultron. So what if in this alternate reality, we see a version of Ultron, and maybe we can see him come back? Because from this trailer, we saw Monica Rambeau go from this fake alternate reality over to the main timeline at the end of the trailer. For those of you who don't know who Monica Rambeau is, she's the daughter of Captain Marvel's best friend from Captain Marvel, the little girl that you saw looking up to Captain Marvel throughout the whole movie. That's her grown up. And in the comics, exactly. And in the comics, she becomes the hero known as Spectrum. So we saw her become Spectrum in this trailer and kind of come from Wanda's reality over to the main reality, which is very interesting because if she can do that, why can't anyone else? And, you know, one of the biggest questions about this trailer is Vision alive? Is he dead? Are they going to bring him back? Is this all just an illusion? Brad, what do you think? Are they going to bring back Vision with this series?
I don't know, man. I don't think Wanda has the ability to bring back people from the dead. I think that's a bit of a stretch to her abilities. So, in my opinion, I think it's more of an illusion. I think she's creating her perfect life to find her own happiness. And in doing so, I think she's going to screw a lot of things up. Very similar to how Barry time travels. And I think that's kind of how we're going to lead into the Multiverse of Madness, because I'm going to assume Wanda fucks up pretty bad.
Yeah, and that's
I'm assuming it kind of goes to the saying of the path to hell is paved with good intentions, kind of thing.
oh, for sure.
We all create the things we dread.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, yes.
On Vision though, I think it's more, and that was one big thing with Endgame, is I wondered, no mention of Vision whatsoever. I'm like, he's a robot. Clearly, Wakanda seemed confident that they could, work with him or work on him. So I think, that explains, the show really explains why they didn't touch on him yet. I think, I think in my mind, it's reasonable to think Wanda could reactivate Vision, with her powers. If she, accelerates and grows on them enough, she could provide an energy source for Vision or create a new one for him. So yeah. I think it's very possible that he will come back just like Spectrum exited the reality.
Yeah, and I think we're actually going to see Vision come back, but not from that reality. Mm-hmm. I think they're actually going to bring him back like from the real timeline, from the real main reality. It's hard to talk about Wandavision because there's so many different things. But in the main reality, I think they're going to bring Vision back. And I think that's going to set things off from the things that are happening in Wanda's reality. I mean, we know that the character Darcy Lewis from the Thor franchise, she's coming back. She's an experienced scientist. She's obviously not in Wanda's reality. So what is she doing? What is the role that she's
Shuri's back now.
Exactly. Shuri's back as well. There's so much more going on in this series that we don't even have grasp of. And again, because we do know that it is going to lead into the multiverse of madness, I do think for without a shadow of a doubt, we will see Doctor Strange in this series, whether it's at the end of the series warning Wanda about the effects she had on the entire multiverse, whatever the case may be. Do you guys think Doctor Strange will be involved in this series? And if so, how do you think he's going to be involved?
I could almost picture him like showing up in the beginning, like her going to him for a little bit of help or advice and him rejecting her. And that's what leaves the door kind of open for the woman you spoke of.
Yeah.
And then at the end, have him kind of show up again going like, dude, I tried to kind of tell you this without being harsh, but now you screwed up. So let's go fix reality. Like, this is what I was trying to kind of steer you away from.
Brad, how about you? How do you think Doctor Strange is going to be in? Do you think he's even going to be involved in the series? Do you think we're going to see him? And if so, how?
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised.
Same here.
Purely based on the fact that Marvel is genius when it comes to setting things up. And we know for a fact that the Multiverse of Madness is going to go into production shortly.
Yep.
This show is pretty much done. If not, it's very near to being completed in post. So I would not be surprised. To what extent he's involved in, if he is at all, I don't know. But it would not surprise me just based on that's how they set things up. Like we saw in Endgame, where that version of Loki disappears with the Tesseract. Like that is the version of Loki we are getting with the Loki show. So it makes sense to have these little Easter eggs and cameos to an extent. To once again, this is not Netflix. These are not two separate things. They are now one and the same. So everything that happens in a Disney Plus show is directly connected to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that is something obviously we haven't seen. And that's something I think we've missed, especially with the fantastic Netflix shows where we're like, oh man, I wish Daredevil was in the MCU. And they kind of teased that in the first few seasons of these shows on Netflix. And then it kind of faded out because they knew Disney Plus was coming. They knew they were going to have their own shows. So, once again, these things happen for a reason. This is not just spur of the moment. So is he going to be in it? I don't know. It is called WandaVision. It's her show, but I would not be surprised if he makes an appearance to some extent, whether it be in his Astro form or, like you guys said, he pulls a Jay Garrick and comes back like, I told you not to do this. You fucked up. And now we have to fix it. And because of what you did, you brought this whole new threat to the forefront.
100%.
Like almost at the end, you see her kind of spiraling.
Yeah.
And then he kind of cuts in to be like, all right, look, enough. I tried to let you sort this out on your own, but we need to go fix this together.
Got to pull the plug.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I was keeping an eye from a distance, but that's it. The training wheels are back on.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things is that this series is taking a lot of inspiration from the House of M comic storyline. And
Yep.
in this House of M comic storyline, Scarlet Witch creates this alternate reality where everyone gets what they want. For example, Magneto is literally the king of the world, and the mutants are on top above humans. But at the end of this comic, Wanda sets everything back to normal, but when she does so, 98% of mutants across the entire multiverse lose their powers. And that kind of sets the multiverse into madness. So again, just the House
I
of
see what you did there.
Exactly. Marvel knows, bro. They
Sets
know.
the multiverse into madness. Very nice.
Exactly.
Subtle.
No, but that's the thing. There will be consequences to whatever
Fact.
this is that Wanda's doing. And touching on the House of M, yeah, she creates her own reality. And with that, like, when you mess with reality, shit's gonna mess up, right?
Yeah.
So with the fact that, like we've seen with Kang, Tony Stark says the line in Endgame, when you mess with time, sometimes time messes back. Like, this is what we're getting. When you take it upon yourself to try to move things around and change things yourself, especially when it comes to time and reality, yeah, it's not going to be pretty. So I'm excited to see what kind of damage is done in that extent, because, you know, we're seeing it once again with Flashpoint, how they're changing characters and changing storylines and fixing errors and things of that nature. It's not so different in the MCU. So I'm curious to see what ultimately changes and how.
Yeah,
and I'm almost curious.
Go, David.
Well, I'm almost curious because you mentioned House M. I'm almost wondering, with like WandaVision and Multiverse of Madness, I'm almost wondering if they're setting up for kind of a 1-2 hit here of like WandaVision's the big pitch, and then Multiverse of Madness is really the swing, and then it ends with your House of M moment. And I've talked about this since WandaVision and everything's been kind of discussed, is with the No More Mutants line. I'm like, you're looking for a way to introduce mutants into the MCU. What better than to homage that line at the end of WandaVision or Multiverse of Madness and have her just whisper more mutants? You know, it's not the exact same line, but you know exactly what it's referencing, you know what it's doing, and you know why they're doing it.
All right. Brad's back.
Yes.
Brad, what were you saying?
Okay, I was saying, right now Wanda's not in the best places. She's not handling the impact of Infinity War, losing Vision. She's not handling the fact that the results of Endgame, Vision is still gone, and Tony's gone. The Avengers aren't really together anymore due to the impact of everything. Cap has left, who is such a huge figure in her life. Hawkeye is now Ronin. So, like, there's a lot of changes, and now she does feel potentially alone, and which causes her to potentially create this universe in which, you know, a reality where she's happy and has everything that she wants. So with that, it makes sense for her to say potentially the line, more mutants, because then she won't feel so strange and so alone in that regard.
She has a community.
Yeah. So once again, Multiverse of Madness has not started production yet. So give it, like, what's the release date for that? 2022, 2023? When is
2022.
it? Okay. So it's 2020. 2022, 2 years from now. By then, they will absolutely have a plan for mutants and the X-Men if they haven't already. So it would not surprise me at all if we do get mutants here in the next 5 years. Definitely announcements in the next 2. So
for sure.
I can't wait. And I would not be surprised if Multiverse of Madness is the way they introduce not only the mutants to the MCU, but potentially the Fantastic Four as well.
Yeah. Yep. And, you know, you said Kang. You mentioned Kang.
Yeah.
Well, what if when she, you know, kind of reverts everything back to normal following the House of M story, following that story element, once she reverts everything back to normal and some things are different, what if she messed up Kang's reality? Like we talked about Captain America potentially screwing up Kang's reality with the time heist from Endgame that we didn't get to see at the end of the movie. But this could be where they set up Kang by Wanda messing up a ton of different realities within the multiverse.
So hypothetically speaking, let's go this line of thought real quick. Wanda's the reason for Kang, and Wanda's the reason for what happens in the Multiverse of Madness. I think that's a bit too much. In my opinion, I think it's going to be the results of Endgame and what they did to set everything back to normal and fix the blip and beat Thanos, I think that is what creates Kang. I think that is why he's pissed off, because that's specifically that's a time issue. Literally, they time traveled. Whereas this is a reality issue. And who is the villain for Multiverse of Madness? The name is escaping me right now.
Nightmare, I think, isn't it?
Okay,
that's the rumored villain.
Yeah, so that is the result, potentially, hypothetically, of what Wanda does in WandaVision, right?
Yeah.
So I just don't think they're going to put two big bads on her conscience. I just don't see that.
Dude, they put 7 big bats on Tony Stark.
And that's what I'm saying. Like that was
true.
That was a lot. But I like having consequences to Endgame.
Yeah.
Not just good ones, but bad ones too.
Yeah.
Obviously losing Cap and Tony, those are big consequences.
Yeah.
But lasting consequences where you create the next big bad and piss somebody off in the multiverse, like I love that, and I think that would be a really cool way to introduce Kang. And with Nightmare and the Multiverse of Madness, like I said, man, people are ruling out and saying like Marvel doesn't have the steam now that Tony and da. Dude, I'm telling you, bro, we're going to get so many surprises over the next few years that we haven't even heard a peep about, and it's just going to shake our realities.
Fact. Marvel has so much.
What you were saying, Brad, I really think how you're talking about that. I think Endgame really, set the pitch, was the pitch for Kang. Yeah. And then I think possibly what happens in Multiverse of Madness is really, okay, all right, screw you kind of thing. Like, I'm coming for you now. Like, I kind of was irritated. I was going to let it go, but now you're really on my doorstep. And they could even play the different realities as, the Infinity Stones kind of aspect of, as you go through these movies, you kind of start seeing the different realities that were messed up, but you keep seeing them all end with Kang.
I would love to see teasers, if you will, and not necessarily cameos, but hypothetically speaking, in WandaVision, weird things are happening that aren't related to what Wanda's doing or whatever's happening in the show.
Yeah.
And people are like, what is happening? Because we're not getting Ant-Man 3 for how long? So it would be weird to have Endgame and then nothing and then Kang in Ant-Man 3, right? So to slightly tease him in all these different projects, plus, Matt, you and I talked about this the other day, Loki has the Tesseract, so he is bopping around the different realities and timelines. So he is going to be an issue as well. So once again, the results of Endgame, not just what happened with Thanos, but also the fact that they let that version of Loki escape with the Tesseract. I think that show is going to be a huge impact into getting Kang out in the forefront.
1,000%.
Yeah, and I like that idea of having those so you have Multiverse of Madness, you get glimpses at all these different realities, but kind of each project almost touches on a specific one a little more directly, but yet you keep seeing the post-credit scene end with Kang showing up, and it almost creates that suspense of oh God, he's looking for our reality. He's getting closer and closer.
This is far bigger than just entertainment, right? It's about making money. What they're going to do is, now that things are connected with both Disney Plus and the films, they're going to want to make sure that you are subscribed to Disney Plus, and that you, whether you're a big fan of Loki and Wanda and She-Hulk and Miss Marvel, your ass better be in your seat watching these TV shows, because it's all connected. And if you miss an episode or a season, you're going to not understand what's going to happen in the next big film. And that's what's genius about this. That's what was genius about the MCU as a whole, 22 plus films into it, right? Everything was connected, and that was unprecedented across so many different characters and IPs. So that's something that now with Disney Plus, which we didn't have with Netflix, everything is connected. So yes, I love that idea of having, these subtle hints and just tying everything together and also stringing you along at the same time.
100%. I mean, I think the best thing Marvel has been able to do over the course of all of their films is the art of the slow build. Thanos wasn't the villain of Avengers Age of Ultron after we saw him in the post-credit scene for the first Avengers. No, they showed Thanos and then they said, wait, patience.
Yep.
Wait. We'll give you him in Guardians of the Galaxy, but wait, he's coming. Age of Ultron post-credit scene, he's coming. And then Avengers Infinity War comes out, and at the time, it's like one of the biggest movies of all time. And finally, Thanos is here. They're going to give whoever's their next big bad the same treatment, so it only makes sense for Kang to pop up here and there, or for just some things to be off here and there in WandaVision, Loki. Who knows?
And look, I don't know if Kang is the next big bad. He's a big bad, but I don't know if he is the big bad.
Yeah, because
I think he's definitely deserving of that, though.
Oh, 1,000%.
He definitely could be.
But I think there's somebody a little bit bigger who I think we all know is a potential who just made an appearance on a certain video game. And I'm not talking Avengers.
Yep. No, I really...
Who are you talking
Galactus.
Galactus.
Ooh. You think Galactus?
But I mean...
I wouldn't think Galactus, man. I just don't see it.
With Kang, imagine the idea of, like, those little teases of those different realities that he, like, keeps, finding in mistake of ours. But, like, take your favorite realities. Like, say they take the original Fantastic Four movies reality, show that just annihilated. And then you just see his boots walking through the ashes. Or take Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man reality and show that, show his tattered mask.
Dude.
Or something like that. And, really build him like, oh, crap. Like,
again,
because he's not somebody like Thanos.
Doctor Strange into the Multiverse of Madness is insane. And the beautiful thing is that they both go hand in hand. WandaVision is the alley-oop to the dunk that is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So, guys, let us know in the comment section down below. Duet these TikToks to let us know what you guys think of the show. Again, we talked about so many different theories about what's going to happen in the show, but we want to hear what you guys think. So let us know in the comments. Duet these videos over there on TikTok. And now it's time to get into the final debate of SUPES Disputes today, which is Hawkeye versus Green Arrow. There is no way I was bringing David on this show without having this debate on here. Brad's going to hop in too. And it looks...
Sorry, is this even a debate?
It looks like this is another Civil War situation where it's a 2-on-1. Guess what? I'm ready, boys. Let's go. Who would win in a fight? Oh, God. What is Brad getting? Brad is getting the big guns. What is he getting?
This is a debate?
Oh, yeah.
This is like you're actually serious. We're actually debating this? Okay, that's adorable.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm terrified.
You're going to bring out Jeremy Renner? Stephen Amell? Are you there? You good, bro? Oh!
Well, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. Right.
All right, we're going to do this. All right, bet. Hold up. Give me a second. Give me a second.
You see this, David? Let's go.
Give me a second.
Let's go.
Let's go, baby.
Son.
Steven, shout out to Stephen Amell. Shout out to Stephen Amell. Hey, we got to get him on SUPES Disputes. Steven, where you at?
Give me a second. Give me a second.
What leather fetish thing is this?
What kind of weird kinky shit is going on right now?
Look, I was going to say that, but I didn't know if I was allowed to say a bad word.
I'm ready, boys. Let's go.
I don't know where you're going, but I don't want to join because I don't have a safe word.
Yeah. That is hilarious.
Hey, you notice how the Ronin hoodie is literally like a ripoff of the design of the Green Arrow hoodie? Dude, that's a nice ballistic vest. I wonder who did it first.
Yeah, no lies detected.
All right.
Dude, I'm sorry, but I watched that opening scene in Endgame of him in Hong Kong, and I literally went, oh, so they made him Arrow. All right, cool.
No. Green Arrow wishes he was Ronin in Endgame. There is no question about that.
Dude, come on.
Ronin in Endgame.
That's a good joke.
Bro, Ronin in Endgame was everything that they wanted Green Arrow to be. They literally took Green Arrow and said, all right, we don't have the rights to Batman. All right, let's make Green Arrow as dark as we possibly can. basically Batman, and he just can't, he can't push it to the R rating. So, Brad, state your case. Brad, you're probably the biggest non-Hawkeye fan I know. So, Brad, why is Green Arrow better than freaking Hawkeye?
I mean, do you
I
want me
would
to
just
answer?
like to make this.
Who would win in a fight, Green Arrow or Hawkeye, honestly?
Do you want me to answer alphabetically or chronologically? Like, I'll tell you why
you for that.
Green Arrow is better. I mean, just watch the show, dude. Like, Jeremy Renner's
Man of
Hawkeye
culture.
was just like, he didn't do anything where I was like, wow, that was impressive. He was like so disappointing on so many levels, because at the same time we were watching Arrow on the CW, and Stephen Amell absolutely crushed that role, man. Like, destroyed it in the best way possible, knocked it out of the park.
Oh, I agree. Stephen Amell crushed it. He's an amazing.
Look at it.
And to touch on your subject of
He's an amazing
we can't
Arrow.
have Batman, so let's make
Look.
him as dark as possible. No,
Let's make it clear. Let's make it clear. Let's make it clear.
To Green Arrow.
I would prefer to see Stephen Amell's Green Arrow. I like that character more. But in a fight, there's no way that Green Arrow is beating your boy Ronin, bro.
Yeah.
And that's just facts.
Get out.
Bro,
With the katana? Are you kidding me? With the katana?
Are you
and the
He
serious?
buster,
took Deathstroke. Do you think he can't take Hawkeye?
He also led the League of Assassins. He was Ra's al Ghul.
Dude, that was
Are
the
you
most
serious?
bootlegged League of Assassins I've ever seen.
It doesn't
in my life.
matter. He
Look,
was
no,
Ra's.
Hey, nobody is arguing that, Soups. Nobody is arguing that.
Yeah, but
All right.
no, hold on. But he's saying because Ronin has a katana, he won't be able to beat him. Like,
He has
dude,
more
he's
weapons,
Ra's al
bro.
Ghul. He's
How many
trained
times
with
has
a
this been
bow
used?
and a...
Melee
Okay, bro, it's a street fight right now. You have Green Arrow on one side, Ronin on the other. Ronin would easily
No weapons?
up, bro. No weapons.
Oliver-
With their weapons.
No weapon?
With their
Oliver
weapons.
Single, bro, hold on.
With their weapons.
Oliver beat the Reverse Flash, a metahuman. So don't sit here and
With
tell me.
super speed.
Yeah, like, he beat a metahuman that was a speedster. And you're telling me he's not going to beat Hawkeye? Like, get
Dude.
out of here, bro.
Hawkeye fought an alien army. A robot army.
I'm sorry. What is fighting? Is hiding on a rooftop, shooting arrows 3 blocks
No,
away?
taking out bodies.
Fighting?
That's exactly what he did. Taking out bodies.
No,
And
he
then-
was babysitting Scarlet Witch half the time.
Dude, that was literally
Yeah,
one scene where he actually
Quicksilver.
Loki
And Quicksilver.
Loki MVP of Age of Ultron, because if Hawkeye never gave her that talk, she would have never shown up and risen to the occasion and actually
Yeah,
destroyed all
she
these
played
robots.
such a huge role when Thor and Iron Man destroyed the fucking meteor that was heading to Earth. She was
the one protecting
The
it.
only thing she did was go, hey, Ultron.
She was protecting it, Brad.
Dude, she had to be rescued
She
by
pulled out a
Vision,
fuel
bro.
pump.
She was so busy
She
trying
was
to get
warning,
revenge on Ultron.
she was warning Quicksilver's
Vision-
death.
Oh my gosh.
The only
Fam.
thing that Scarlet Witch did in that fight was make sure Hawkeye didn't get killed.
Dude.
Wow, thank God.
Ultron got one hand on that
Right.
thing and it was game over. She protected all that. Didn't you see when Quicksilver died? She literally screamed and all the freaking
Oh, yeah, no.
Ultron bots
No,
around
I'm
her
not- I'm
got
not
destroyed.
discounting that.
He's
I'm not discounting
defending
that.
he's defending Scarlet Witch right now when he should be defending his boy Hawkeye, who was
Oh, yeah,
laying
it's
in
an
the
actual
helicarrier because he
saying-
was tired.
I'm saying Loki, the MVP of Age of Ultron. That's exactly what I'm saying.
I'm sorry. Who got his butt handed to him by Vision in 5
Dude,
seconds?
that's literally a robot with an Infinity Stone. Oliver wouldn't even come close to taking out Vision, bro. The same
Dude,
thing
he
would happen
beat
to
a
Oliver.
metahuman. He beat many metahumans, fam.
He didn't. Hey,
Now
I
with
just
an
want you
Infinity
to know,
Stones, bro.
He did.
Now
have
and then
to
Infinity
fight-
Stone.
He did have to fight Supergirl and a bunch of other brainwashed superheroes, and he
Dude.
still didn't get stopped.
Exactly.
Dude.
Yeah.
He didn't
What-
get caught
what
in a
is he gonna do to
headlock,
Vision, bro?
like the
Vision's skin is
easiest
literally
thing to see
impenetrable.
coming.
Vision's skin is impenetrable. He can take out Supergirl because she dies from a little green rock.
So
Wait,
is Supergirl.
wait, are you talking shit on your favorite superhero right now?
Superman ain't Supergirl, bruh.
Yeah,
Superman
bro, he
ain't
has the
small,
same
bro.
weakness that you just threw at
Superman is Supergirl
Yeah.
with additional genitalia.
Yeah, and the only reason they created that kryptonite little weakness was because the radio show, the guy who voiced Superman on the radio show, had to go on vacation, so they needed a filler episode, so they created kryptonite. But that's the only reason. Other than that, Superman would literally be the perfect superhero. Like, zero weaknesses. The powers.
You notice how this conversation has become about everything but how Hawkeye could not be Green Arrow.
How Hawkeye
I'm sorry.
sucks.
I'm just, dude, when we talk about Superman.
Look, no, all right. I don't want to say Hawkeye sucks because he does have his own qualities that makes
Wait till the Disney
Plus series.
character.
Wait till the Disney Plus series. Wait till the Disney Plus series.
Speedy is better than Hawkeye.
Wait till the Disney
Speedy
Plus.
Hawkeye
is better
could beat
than
Thea.
Hawkeye.
I give that. Hawkeye could beat Thea because
Speedy has more of an edge than Hawkeye.
Here's the big thing that it comes down to. You look at the two personalities and the fighting types of Oliver and Hawkeye. The big difference is Clint has a heart.
Oliver has a heart. Oliver has morals. They basically
Not in a fight.
like Batman, bro.
Not in a fight. When it's in a fight, it's either if you're trying to kill me, I will kill you or make you wish you were dead. Or I'm going to hit you until you stop hitting me. That is Oliver's mindset.
Backed up like 500 bodies in the first season of Arrow. What are you talking about?
Bro,
Oliver has a heart.
See Ronan
slaughtering
the entire Yakuza.
It's gloves off.
Dude, the Yakuza? Are you kidding me? Yeah. Oliver took down the League of Assassins, bro.
I'm sorry, there's no League of Assassins in the MCU for Hawkeye to even face. Watch.
All right, hold on.
Wait till the Hawkeye Disney Plus series, bro.
Yeah,
and you'll let him. You'll see him in his true light.
League of Assassins. That's not fair. League of Assassins. That's very Batman villain. So I don't want to give him an out on that.
Exactly.
Oliver took down the Undertaking. He took down Slade Wilson. He took down Prometheus. He took down Damien Dark. He took down the Ninth Circle, which is basically
Batman villains.
A Yakuza organization.
Just took Green Arrow and said, "Let's make a bootlegged Batman because we can't use Batman."
No, they saw the beauty that was the Nolan movies and said, let's give Green Arrow this treatment because that would be pretty cool. And
so
they
what
said,
has Hawkeye done that isn't remotely cool? I'm waiting to hear. Because we all know Black Widow led the charge there.
Behind his back without looking.
Black Widow led the charge in what? What did she lead the charge?
Black Widow beat him every single one-on-one fight.
Dude, she was from the Red Room. Like, she has her own movie coming out. She's big time, bro. Black Widow.
Time out. Yes.
Yeah.
That is true. You know who else has a full TV show about him?
Yeah, dude.
Green Arrow. This guy.
Black Widow the only reason Black Widow beat Hawkeye was because it was close quarters combat. He's an archer. How is he going to be an assassin that is a master at close quarters combat?
She also has guns and all kinds of other tech. He had no shot.
Dude, she wasn't using the guns.
She didn't have to.
What's
That's
amazing
the point.
Is Oliver was also trained by assassins.
Let the fight take place outside. What happened? Wait, what happened?
Oliver was also trained in close hand-to-hand combat by people like Slade Wilson, Talia al Ghul, Nissa al Ghul,
dude, all Batman,
etc., etc.
All Batman characters, like
the Russian mob.
He's Batman. Look, I love Stephen Amell.
Bro,
he's an amazing Green Arrow.
realize
I would rather watch Stephen Amell's Green Arrow than Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye.
Okay, then there's
no
but.
Dude,
there's no but after that.
No. There is a but. There's a case to be made that Ronan could beat Green Arrow in a fight. Because guess what? Ronan doesn't hold back. Ronan fights to chop off heads.
That's literally
he
what Green Arrow did. Episode 1, season 1.
And he still got his ass kicked.
What do you mean? Wait.
Thank you.
Dude.
Thank you.
Whedon, bro. Whedon isn't going to write Hawkeye.
Oh, no.
Whedon isn't going to write Hawkeye to be a cold-hearted killer, bro. We all know that first Avengers movie set the tone. Very PG-13, friendly.
Hawkeye Ronan gave the Infinity Gauntlet to Nebula, which she then was giving it to Thanos. So well done.
They're both the same person.
Let's be clear. Ronan goes after villains. He doesn't hold back on villains. Oliver is a hero. If they went into a fight, that would give the impression that Hawkeye knows about Oliver's past. He knows what he does, so he's not gonna want to kill Oliver, which is gonna become a problem because Oliver's at the point, you're wanting to fight me, so I'll stab you in the eye if I have to.
Oliver told Supergirl to fuck off. Like, what more do we have to
He
talk
literally
about? Here?
did.
Is there a
He literally
Supergirl in the
told Supergirl
MCU?
to go fly a kite.
No.
No, dude. Come on, dude. Your
Dude, they're never.
argument is trash.
Dude. Just
Supergirl
because,
said
not the
square
same
up,
thing.
and Oliver
just
said
because Green Arrow is a bigger character than Hawkeye, doesn't mean he could beat him in a fight. Green Arrow is
We got that
obviously
on
in the
recording,
mix
right?
with characters like the Flash, Supergirl. You're never gonna see Hawkeye on that stage because he's not that type of character. But
Bro,
that
he's
doesn't
in the
mean he can still
Avengers,
take out Green
bro.
Arrow.
He's in the Avengers, so don't tell me he's not on that level. He's on that level, bro.
And
He's in the Avengers.
and no one in the
because he
Avengers
got
would even come
friends
close
in
to a
the
character like
Avengers.
He's not big
Supergirl
enough,
or the
but
Flash.
he's in the most iconic superhero team. Like, get out of here, bro. Come on.
Dude, he's
Ronin. Oh,
Literally
he wore a
supporting
samurai
staff.
suit, and now
I
he's
just
gonna-
want to make one point. If we're really trying to say who is better, who only got their TV show when they were looking to replace him?
what?
Hawkeye only got a TV show when it came time to introduce his replacement.
Wait, what do you mean?
I see no lies
Explain.
here.
Explain.
With Kate Bishop. The only time that Hawkeye's show came around was when they're like, all right, we need to introduce Hawkeye's replacement. Let's get Kate Bishop going.
Because, dude, they're setting up Young Avengers. Like, Marvel is always setting up things for the future. Obviously,
But
we
then
know-
with
we know
Green Arrow,
Jeremy
they
Renner.
said,
We
oh,
know
no,
Jeremy
we're
Renner's Hawkeye is going to be here for the long run. I mean, how many times are we going to see this guy retire, chill back with his kids, and then come back out of retirement? I'm with you guys.
They just have
He
the
should have
balls
died in
to
Age of
kill him
Ultron.
like they want to.
He should have died in Age of Ultron. But
Yes, he
guess
should
what?
have.
But guess what? He lived. And from what we saw, because he lived, Ronin in Endgame, there. By the way, I want you guys to know, there was 5 years of Ronin, all right? There's so much we didn't get to see. In this Hawkeye series, we're definitely going to see more of Ronin. We're going to definitely get to see more of what happened during this 5-year time jump. We know that so much happened in this 5-year time jump. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is taking place in the middle of the time jump.
Hey, remember when Oliver took down the Flash when he was brainwashed? Remember that? When he did that? That was fun.
Experience.
Yeah, and hey, I love it how you're like, oh, Ronin's not a Green Arrow ripoff.
Remember when Hawkeye took out Scarlet
Ronin
Witch?
had 5 years in a hellish
Remember
environment.
when Hawkeye took out
This
Scarlet Witch, the most
sounds
powerful
familiar.
character in the MCU? Tased
What do
her.
you mean
What'd
took
you
her
say?
out?
Took her out, bro. Tased her in the face with an arrow,
Oh
bro.
my god.
The most powerful character in the MCU.
Your case is he took out the most powerful character in the MCU who at the time didn't even know how to use her powers.
She's
And
Was
has
a
no experience
newborn
fighting.
power-wise.
And she's-
Yeah,
doesn't.
literally.
But that's what makes her so powerful, because she's so reckless.
No, dude, she had no experience. We're not talking endgame Scarlet Witch. We're talking like teenager Scarlet Witch who realizes she can move things with her mind.
Bro, even then she was mad.
Come on, dude. That's a
I'm
terrible,
sorry.
terrible.
Even then she was
I'm
mad
going to be
powerful,
honest
bro.
with you. Hawkeye
Took out
slash
Ultron, bro.
Ronin would put up a very, very adequate fight. But it's going to come down to the fact that his dumbass is going to stop to make some witty comment or joke or brag,
Bro.
and then
I'm
Oliver's
Clint.
going to like stab
Yes.
him in the arm.
I didn't see Ronin pulling
And then
any
be like,
punches, bro.
You need to talk less.
I didn't see Ronin pulling any punches.
Yeah,
And
but
then
he also
him-
didn't have a family at that
His
point. either.
family's
Exactly.
back. So now he's going to revert back to the boring ass Hawkeye we saw for 10 years. And, like, please spare me. Hey, David, just say the line directed at Matt. Just say it and we can move on. Just say it in your voice.
Yeah.
Just say it right now. Tell him.
Supes, you have failed this debate.
What?
Thank you.
No,
We'll
I
see ya.
haven't, dude. All right. We had our little chat about who'd win in a fight, Hero or Hawkeye. But now it's time for you guys to join this debate right now. This was the most heated debate of the night. But now we want to hear what you guys think. Who do you think would win in a fight, Ronin or Green Arrow? With that being said, duet this content over here on TikTok.
Not even close.
Drop down below and debate in the comment section. And with that being said, thank you, Dave, for joining us on Supes Disputes. And guys, with that being said,
Hey, thanks for having me, brother.
in. David, any final thoughts before we end today's episode?
Words of wisdom to leave you with is dying's the easy part. The real heroes are the ones who have to keep going. So keep going.
And there we go. Wise words from David. Guys, make sure to check out his content. Links will be in the description of this video. With that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. We love you guys 3000, and we'll see you guys next time.